Welcome to the Theory of DFS podcast. I'm Jordan Cooper, the co-author of The Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass you could find at theoryofdfs.com. Eric, as sometimes says, I got too much work to do. I can't make the podcast this week, so I gotta find a replacement, and I found the perfect replacement from Sports Grid, Daily Roto, the Takecast. It's Davis Mattek, because I wanted to talk about a specific topic that's not DFS related, but I'm going to tie it in to DFS when it comes to finding the edge. And it's this apparent craze. Can I call it a craze of these NBA Top Shot digital moment non-fungible tokens? Would you think, Davis, would you be surprised that someone that is bearish on these NFTs is also someone that owns zero Bitcoin?
No, I think those things correlate, definitely. I would say, I mean, a lot of my friends who own Bitcoin are also like, you're an idiot. Why are you ripping packs? Why did you purchase a $2,000 Tyler Hero non-fungible token? But certainly, if you were to say you have to convince one person to buy one of these NFT moments, and that person, you can either convince a person who owns some Bitcoin or a person who owns zero Bitcoin, I would say give me the person who owns some Bitcoin first.
Right. Let's at least explain for some people that may not know what non-fungible tokens are, which is different from Bitcoin, which would be a fungible token. Bitcoin are fun tokens, yet these digital moments are technically non-fun. They're not fun. It's just a matter of like the uniqueness of them. It's cryptology, but Bitcoin is like having a dollar bill. There's a serial code to it, but like anyone can own one or whatever. But these moments are unique.
Yeah. So essentially, a non-fungible token is a digital item with a blockchain managed ownership. And that's the selling point, that you can see, okay, this moment I bought was purchased by person X for Y amount of American dollars or Y amount of Ethereum or whatever. And not only that, but you can see every other duplicative moment so like, if there's 75 of this non-fungible token, you can see what every other similar or same, duplicate non-fungible token, you can see who owns it, you can see how much they bought it for, you can see how much it is sold for or being listed for sale for.
Okay, so the purpose of these tokens, I'm debating. I'm going to debate this from the non old perspective, because I could see a lot of people out there going, these moments are like videos of like someone's dunk that you could watch on YouTube. Like, the utility of these is zero, but that's what baseball cards are. That's what basketball cards are.
What about artwork that sits in free ports? Like there is no utility outside of the uniqueness and the rareness.
Right. So essentially, this is digital manufactured scarcity, and
correct.
You get to say that you own this scarce item in the same way that in the physical world, it's very easy to understand, because, like, they only made X amount of this card, and that's all that exists, and there's never going to be any more. So that's what makes that artwork, that sports card, supposedly valuable. Obviously, value is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, value is what someone's willing to pay you for something.
Right. But the difference is, obviously, in the DFS community, I could look on Twitter, and people are on the NBA Top Shot marketplace, ripping packs, basically the same attitude of sports cards. It's the same exact type of thing. It's just that I'm extremely cynical. I'm going to argue from the perspective of the rationality of markets and the irrationality of human beings. Like, it's the same perspective I have on Bitcoin. I'm not against the technology. I get the blockchain. I get cryptocurrency. I get that all. I believe that is the future. I'm bearish on cryptocurrency being 100 years from now, there won't be any physical money. It will be all on the blockchain. The
So
difference.
how do you rectify that stance with owning no Bitcoin?
Oh, I'm going to tell you, because I'm extremely cynical on world governments. That a
That should
decentralized
make you want to
currency.
buy Bitcoin more. Being cynical about world governments, you should be in a hole with your hardware wallet and your blocks of gold.
No, I'm not cynical on there not being government. I'm cynical on the fact that the primary driver of power of a government is in two related items. One, the ability to exclusively print their own currency, and two, that you have to pay taxes in that currency. So
Yeah.
I take a look at Bitcoin and go, well, who controls Bitcoin? Well, no one controls Bitcoin. It's like, well, no government is not going to give up control of their currency. Like, take a look at Brexit. Take a look at what's going on in the EU, that when countries are giving up their right to print a currency, that, their economy is tied to other countries' economies, and they may not want to give up that control. So do I think 100 years from now that the US dollar is on the blockchain where there's no physical bills anymore? I would say yes. Is it going to be Bitcoin? No. Bitcoin is just going to be this collectible item on a blockchain that you can't pay your taxes in. There's no utility. It's more like artwork. It's more like that type of scarce item, which still could have value. But the actual usefulness of Bitcoin, I just don't believe that the US government, the French government, the Chinese government, they're going to have a decentralized currency that they don't even get to control. That's how I'm cynical. And I view it the same way with these NFTs and Top Shot of is Top Shot going to be the thing? Or is it going to be, who knows? Who knows what this thing's going to be? But I view the rationality of this is how I view it. Same thing I view with people that promote Bitcoin and things like that. If it was truly a good investment, you wouldn't be telling me about it.
That's not true, because there's a very evangelical thing with Bitcoin where people who become true believers, people who really are sold on the ideology of it, they want to tell people. It's the same as anything else that you get really interested or invested in. That's a very human reaction. It's a very human thing to get excited about something, to care about something, to be passionate about something. And also, there is this element of Bitcoin is, in some people's minds, a way out of wage slavery. And you definitely want people to know about that, especially if you are kind of an anti-government style person.
Yeah, but if you own Bitcoin, I mean, it's a supply and demand thing. Essentially, by you evangelizing Bitcoin, you're increasing demand for something that is of limited supply. So the fact that you're increasing demand raises the price because people want it more. So isn't that benefiting you? Wouldn't you rather, in this Top Shot type of stuff, we have a limited supply now. They could increase the supply. The difference between Bitcoin and Top Shots is that, we saw with the Upper Deck what happened in the late 90s. I know you were too young, but I collected cards then.
I know from reading about it, but obviously I didn't live through it.
Right, that 89 Griffey card, the Upper Deck one, that was when I was 10 years old, that was the card to have. And in Beckett, it would be $300 or whatever. And no one realized that they were just printing the hell out of the card. And people thought it was scarce. And it turns out that it wasn't. They were overprinting so much stuff that now those cards are barely worth anything. Now, Bitcoin, there's only a finite amount. So I get that the supply is going to be limited. But these NFTs, they can make as many as they want. They could be other companies, just like there was Topps and Donruss and Upper Deck and Fleer. And if the licensing makes it that they could make as many of these as they want, what does it stand that, as of right now, the supply is low. So if you're telling me that I should be buying these packs, really, from a rationality standpoint, from a short-term perspective, you're increasing demand, so your supply is valued more. So why should I trust you? I look at it from a trust versus non-trust issue of, if it was such a good investment, if it was a collector, if you're doing it because it's fun or whatever like that, that's a different story. But why would you tell a real estate guy, oh, dude, you got to buy houses. You got to, like, why would you tell me which ones to buy? Like, wouldn't you be scooping them up? You wouldn't be telling me about it if it was that good. So how do you reconcile the fact that if it was a good investment, why wouldn't you just be silent and scooping them all up? And then once you have a ton of this supply, maybe you pump up demand and be like, well, now that I got it all, I want the price to go up.
So you're talking about two different things. I think there's a big difference between saying, I think these NBA Top Shots are pretty cool. I believe there is a short-term ability to make money here for people who have, DFS skills, people who are a little bit smart, people who understand markets a little bit, people who understand, momentum with markets like this. In fact, Top Shots just sent out an email that their traffic is up 350%, and they can't, they have all these scaling problems they didn't anticipate because they didn't know what Bales and what Peter were going to do to their website, basically. So there's that, right? Saying, I think there's some short-term ability to make money here, maybe even long-term, versus saying you should go buy this specific Top Shot moment. You should buy this limited edition Boban dunk. There's only 75 of them made. I think that specific one is going to go up, $100 overnight. I think those are two very different things. Because I would not tweet oh, you should go buy this card. But I would say yeah, you guys should check out Top Shots, because I think, well, mostly I just think it's cool. I love the idea of NFTs, and I liked the idea of sports cards, investing in sports cards and riding that momentum wave. But sports cards just felt like a hassle to me. You got to buy the packs, you got to get them graded, you got to ship stuff around. I know that Star Stock took out some of those steps, but basically I just was there's a higher barrier of entry. It's going to require more effort from me. Top Shots doesn't require hardly any effort from me to speculate.
Well, I think Bales has said that his motivation is to grow the network, which there's value to that. Of that, we have old people. I mean, I'm 41, but I mean, I've been in technology for my whole life before it was cool. So I get it, but I could see 50, 60-year-olds that don't get why in-app purchases people buy, funny hats for $300 in some massively multiplayer online game. They go, what's the value of that? It's no, it's a credibility. It's a scarceness thing. And younger people see things more digitally now, right? Digital rights on music and everything, where you don't technically own it, but you kind of do. It's a matter of, if you grow the network so more people are comfortable with that, no matter what marketplace opens up with NFTs, that it becomes more adopted, and then your future, it may not be Top Shots, but once people are accustomed to, it's okay to own a digital moment like this, just like it's okay to own a baseball card, that the future markets may be more plentiful in the long term. So I see value in that, but it still boils down to, I'm very mistrust. Everything that I do is based on the lack of trust, while it seems like in this community right now that we're basing a lot of stuff on trust of, well, Bales is smart. Peter Jennings, he's smart, and if he's investing in this, maybe I should be investing in this. It is the short-term type of thing. From a cynical standpoint, it would be very similar to why I released the theory of DFS. You could say, you could make the same argument to me. If there was such an edge in DFS with this game theory, why would you be telling anyone? And my attitude is the same thing with poker. Of it's gonna happen.
Someone's gonna do it.
Someone's gonna do it. Why can't it be me? It doesn't have to be David Clancy was not the best poker player, but he wrote Theory of Poker. But it also comes down to, I know that 95% of people are still not going to do it well. So does it come down to, I want people, I'm going to invest in some of these Top Shot moments, and because I understand economics more and I could trade better than others, that I want dumb people to open up packs thinking that they're going to get rich, and they don't have the work ethic or skills to turn, maybe a Tony Snell rebound, into a $500 purchase, and now you're just flooding the market of dumb money. I mean, that still comes from a cynical standpoint of my motivation is I want as much dumb money here as possible, so you better open up these packs.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that if you were looking to make money at this right now, you probably would open packs because a lot of the stuff looks very high relative to what the packs cost because, again, they were not anticipating all of this liquidity. They were just not anticipating. So a bunch of people had issues with like customer service and getting their identity verified and everything just because the site was not set up for all of the traffic that they got as a result of Bales' post and everything. And I mean, I'm sure there's dumb money involved in this stuff. There's dumb money buying Ethereum too. There's dumb money buying alts and everything. Like I don't know about the long-term viability of this. Like, is there, like, for example, what if, unbeknownst to us, there was another company working with the NFL on licensing NFTs for NFL moments, and they also, in combination, were selling digital frames where your moment could be displayed? That business, if it launched tomorrow, would take off all of the liquidity from NBA Top Shots. Like, these casual DFS investors would all flock to the equivalent of the NFL Top Shots, right? NFL more popular. For the boomers, I know that the digital frame, the display of the artwork would be something that they would be really into. But and we've already seen it. There just is clear short-term upward trends in this market. That's really my only opinion, is that in the short term, whether that be 2 weeks, whether that be a month, whether it be 6 months, many of the items that are listed for sale on NBA Top Shots are going to be worth more American dollars right now than in 3 months than they are right now.
But then the question comes back to, if there's a short-term edge, why would you be telling people about it?
Me specifically, or
just in general, just rational-wise. I can understand the irrational, like you mentioned before with the ideology of, like, it may be irrational for people to pump the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, whatever, but it's like, no, you should be hoarding and holding and not telling anyone and wait for you to have more of the supply. But you're just like, from an ego perspective, you're like, no, I find value in being right. Like we see on DFS Twitter that seems like a lot of people have much more value of making the right take or right call on a game rather than like winning a DFS contest. That, like, okay, if there's some monetary value to you of that, I value, for instance, I value security and safety more than, like, maximizing my EV. Like, that's why I'm proud to be a nit. Of, like, yeah, I'm never going to be someone that's playing $10,000 head-to-heads in the DFS lobby because I value, like, I don't need much to be happy. I make $75,000 a year. I'm good. Like, to me, I'm going to maximize for that. So I can understand the irrationality of lowering your EV in order to evangelize something that you believe in. But do you think it's mostly that? But I still come from the mistrust of, if someone's telling me it's a good investment and they still have money in their pocket, like, why are you telling me to put my money when you already have still more money that you could put into this market?
Well, I have about as much money in as I am comfortable with. Like I invested in one very expensive moment. I listed that moment for 4x what I paid for it. And if it sells, I'm going to be pretty happy.
What moment did you buy?
The Tyler Hierro layup over LeBron where he sneered afterwards. The
fact that you have to describe these things is just I know it just seems weird. Like, as a baseball card is just like, okay, you have upper deck rookie card. Like, it's like, well, this is like a very like, in this game he did this thing and that's what I have.
Yeah.
And like, I could see like the top moments being like that, the Michael Jordan shot.
Well,
like, we go back in time, like those type, I can understand those.
Moment. So I was interested in this idea, and I was talking with Michael Leone, my friend, and we both were pretty intrigued, and we wanted to find like a good entry point where it was enough money to like, kind of make us sweat a little bit, enough to make us interested in, but not necessarily like a grind where we'd have to, relist and buy and flip and everything. And so we just did a little bit of research. And this specific Tyler Hero, a couple things. First,
so you did well. Hold on, you did research?
Yeah, I mean research. I just looked at the site for a while.
But you looked at that like this moment is gonna go like this hero dunk sneer LeBron.
Yeah.
Like it's a different Tyler Hero moment. No, I don't want that. I want this specific thing.
Well, so even further, there are only 75 of this moment on the blockchain, right? It is one of the, I think it is, I can't remember if it's legendary or rare. There are these two different classifications, but there are only 75 of them. There were other moments of this one available for like 6,000, 8,000, 10,000, I think 15,000 for the jersey number. That's something that seems to command a premium on this website. Hero is the only NBA athlete who has endorsed Top Shots. So every time when you log on NBATopShots.com, you have Tyler Hero looking at you because he is advertising.
Is he sneering at you though? Is he sneering?
Yes. So this specific moment we bought is advertised on the front page as like a specific rare moment that you should try to acquire. It's a cool moment. There's only 75 of them, and we got the lowest price on the market by like $1,300 or something like that. And after ours was bought, one that was more expensive was sold immediately after, and then another more expensive one was sold immediately after. There's only 3 left of this moment we bought left on the market, and so we felt pretty good about it. And the general thesis behind what we bought has played out, and it looks like it was a smart short-term decision. I don't know if it was. It might just be one of those things that the results end up working out in our favor, but wasn't intelligent to begin with. But it is looking like something that is going to work out for us.
But you're going in, like you keep on saying short-term. You're looking to flip these. These aren't like you're not heading into this market going, I'm holding for 3 years.
No, I think that seems foolhardy. Just because of, yeah, I mean, this is stuff that I'm sure that you talk about on this show all the time, but we are, we tend to be, just as humans, we tend to be, very certain in our ability to predict outcomes. We tend to think that things stay the same far more than they do, and predictions are wrong all the time, right? Like look at any economic prediction year over year, and whatever number the economists set for themselves, they miss that target by 50%, and then they do the exact same thing the next year with those forecasts. I maybe NBA NFTs are the new gold or whatever, and I am stupid for trying to do a short-term flip, but it's all about kind of creating goals. And I'm not trying to predict. The only thing that I feel certain that I own right now that's going to be worth more in 3 years than what I paid for it is Bitcoin. That's it. I mean, everything else I own could go to zero.
Well, I mean, you're sure of it, but like you said, a lot of people are way too sure of their things. Right, you could be wrong. Like I view like real estate in that way. Of like that's a physical asset that has a utility that if I buy a house and land, like there's no way that goes to zero unless obviously the apocalypse happens. But like I said, you're looking for possibly short-term gains, and I'm looking more towards 20 years. Like, is this going to give me security for 20 years? So, like, everything that I look at, like, even in my DFS play, like, I've talked to a lot of sharp DFS players. And one of them harps on it all the time. I mean, I talk to him once in a blue moon. He's a very high-stakes cash player. And he plays uncomfortable. He even tells me, like, the stress of the past 5 years, it's like you wouldn't know what stress is when you go on a downswing of $500,000 playing cash games. But his attitude was that this market, DFS blew up in 2014, right, with all the advertising and stuff like that, and that the edge is only going to go down. The edge is only going to go down. So why not you take the risk and put as much as you can into, if you believe you have an edge, which he does, into your play, you should be bullish. You shouldn't be risk averse. You should be as risky as possible. Not as risky, but enough. Because the edge is higher now than playing DFS now 10 years from now, when even the concepts in my course are like everyone knows. Like, I mean, take a look at poker now. Poker compared to 2003 versus now is like night and day. Yet in 2003 compared to 1979 was also night and day. In 2003, as long as you played good starting hands and you knew like what position was, and like you could beat pretty much any low stakes game, and even against whales now. But now in 2020, you have like everyone's talking about solvers, and it's like, dude, and if you were good in 2003, you're gonna get destroyed now. So it made a lot of sense in 2003 to go, I'm just going whole hog into poker. I'm gonna play, ton of my bankroll and try to make as much money as I can in the shortest amount of time. Do you view that this NFT stuff in that way, that you're willing to take on, you're willing to have a good appetite for risk in the short term, because once this becomes a much more efficient market, like that wouldn't be the time to put in all your money?
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to invest, I think the time to invest in some of these rare moments was like a week ago, because we're seeing a lot of people get onto the website now for the very first time. This is their first big, onboarding period. And I guess you kind of view it through the lens of like the Kelly criterion, right? In terms of like, I think there's X amount of chance of ruin and Y amount of chance of, total profit, right? Of raking the dollars over. And I tend to be nitty, a lot like you. So $1,000 seemed about right relative to like other things that I could spend $1,000 on. I could buy gold, I could buy ETFs, I could buy Bitcoin, I could buy Ethereum, I could put more into DFS, I could play more of these postseason FFPC contests. Just a lot of different things that $1,000 could be utilized for, and just kind of some back of the napkin math, Kelly, in terms of all of the dollars I have available to me, seemed about right. And so maybe that'll be foolish, right? Maybe my napkin math was wrong, and I way underestimated the possibility of this stuff booming, or maybe I way underestimated the chances of this stuff all literally being worthless in a week and everyone forgetting about Top Shots and no one caring anymore.
Right, because the key part of the Kelly formula is to be able to quantify your edge, which,
Right.
I mean, in DFS in and of itself is almost impossible, right? Because no one has that big of a sample size to really, like, accurately, within a somewhat a reasonable margin of error, to know what their edge is in certain contests at certain times. So I think me and you are I think your appetite for risk is higher. That, like, $1,000 in the grand scheme of things in for you is a speculative little. I mean, like, just if you could turn $1,000 into $3,000,
I could lose $1,000 a day at DFS. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, same for me. Right. I've lost 8,000 in a day in DFS.
I mean, part of that also too is having a life role that's separate from your gambling role, because once I have either acquired gambling money or deposited gambling money, that is not real money to me. That is speculation money. That is money that I possess that is used to gain more money. That's not money that I use to buy groceries. That's not money I use to pay rent. That's not money I use to put gas in my car. It's totally and completely separate.
Yeah, but that a lot of people would listen to that and go, well, that's the money to take as much risk as possible. I mean, most people view it as that's not discretionary money. That would be considered investment money.
Well, I mean, investing everything like DFS, stocks, NFTs, crypto, whatever, like it all serves the same purpose. It's money that's meant to be multiplied by some factor.
That doesn't involve your labor. That doesn't involve. That's how people get rich.
That's actually a great point. I have a job, right? And I do my job every day, and I get paid a wage for my job for Sports Grid, and that is generally speaking the money that I use to pay rent, groceries, take care of the dogs, whatever. And then I have money separate from that is used to take care of me when I'm 65, right? And
the hero sneer, that may be your ticket.
Dude, it's a cool moment. Literally anyone listening to this, go search for this moment. It's a very cool moment. Like I like it. I like Tyler Hero. I'm in it. But yeah, it is some of that money that's in the pool of investment dollars is going to go to zero, or not zero, but it's going to be lost, or it's going to depreciate. And the idea is to be doing a lot of different things, right? To be playing DFS, to be playing season-long fantasy football, to be doing X, Y, and Z, all these different ways that can earn more money, and to diversify them, to spread out the risks. Like you say that I am less, or more risk happy than you, which is probably true. Like, I am young, I have no dependents, whatever. But I still don't want to go to zero. So part of that is diversifying. Part of that is putting your money in different things, and Top Shots is one of those different things.
The same way that I diversify my DFS play by playing cash games on 3 different sites, playing head-to-heads against as many opponents that I could find, rather than $1,000 head-to-head against one person. Like it's the same attitude. It's just a matter of what amount of risk are you willing to have in the portions of your portfolio? And for me, my personality is both cynical and very hyper-focused. Like, I'm much more likely to, if I could see an edge, I'd rather exploit and go all in on 1 or 2 than be diversified into 10 of them and do them like mediocre. Like, to me, if I thought there was short-term money in NBA Top Shots, I would have to think, okay, I'm not playing DFS today because I'm obviously going to be on Top Shots flipping stuff. I'm going to be learning everything I possibly can to squeak out as much edge as I can. But to me, that's an opportunity cost, because it's flipping cards, just like flipping real estate. Like, you still have to do actual labor. There's a time imperative. The reason why DFS is so much better than poker is because, like, it's a one-time thing. I don't have to constantly make decisions on like 16 different tables. Like, I'm still trading time for money. DFS, you're still trading time for money, but it's less time. And in this type of stuff, if you're looking to hold, you're not trading much time at all for money, because you're expecting to get a 5x return at some point in the future. But if you're going to be flipping and stuff,
I'm not greedy. I'm looking for 4x. I'm not greedy.
Oh, 4x isn't greedy?
I mean, maybe it is greedy, and maybe we'll look back a month from now and been like, damn, we should have listed that for $4,000 and just took it when it sold instead of listing for 8.
Right, but you're only in for 1,000. It's the same type of speculation as when I play GPP lineups and say, I'm going YOLO on this 2% shooting guard, and like 98% of the time they don't get there. And I'm just waiting for the one, like, maybe you find the one moment that turns into the Honus Wagner card.
Yeah, this is basically like the equivalent of, like, let's say a huge chunk of my investment money is in ETFs, which are like cash games, right? I'm grinding out my 6% or whatever on ETFs. This would be like registering for tournaments for a week instead of playing cash games or whatever. Is kind of the
right. Like, you're playing the SPY. It's not even the Millie Maker or anything. You're just like, I'm gonna play the $100 SPY, and I'm gonna stack the Baker Mayfield and see what happens. Great.
I'm going to play the SPY, but I'm not going to stack the Chiefs. I'm going to stack the Browns.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
So that's pretty much what it is. The only thing, to get back to, like, the human, the rationality aspect of it, that I said on my stream on Saturday that, for instance, I mean, the political markets on election night were crazy. My biggest, Davis, in the past 5 years of playing DFS and being involved in this community, my biggest regret is not liquidating that night. Like, that's, to me, the biggest edge. The biggest edge I've ever had in any endeavor whatsoever would have been political betting at 10 o'clock that night. The fact that I made 15,000, off of it. But I mean, I wasn't prepared because I don't normally bet on sports. So I don't have money on predicted. I don't have money. So I'm going it's like 9:30 and I'm going on. It's like I used to have a Bovada account and like all these accounts that I used to have.
Imagine how easy it would be to move money around if you had some sort of, cryptographic currency that could be sold frictionlessly. You wouldn't need permission from a bank and, everyone accepted. It'd be weird if you had access to I don't know of anything like that, but wouldn't it have been really handy if you would have had some frictionless way to move money around? I'm thinking out loud, but
yeah, I know. You could, it would have been useful then. But the point that I'm making is that I saw so much edge that, I didn't say anything. Like at that point, like I was getting side action, but I wasn't publicizing it. I was going in DMs to people that I know, a lot of them Trump supporters, and they thought it was free.
I was too busy hyperventilating. I think I bet $300 on Biden at not even one of the best numbers. I think it was like plus 200 or something after some of the what state was it at around like midnight that started to I don't exactly one of the northeastern states that started to flip it back, because at one point Biden was like plus 500 and then it got down to like plus 200.
Plus 500 was a blip. You couldn't. I saw that I couldn't get. I got Biden at plus 300 on one bet, and then I got plus 250, and then eventually I was getting plus 150.
Now, the bet I should have made that became super obvious on Wednesday morning that I didn't pull the trigger on, and that I'll probably regret for years, will be the Biden over 300 electoral.
That's what I got.
Which I know you bet.
Yep.
And it was so obvious that it was going to happen.
It's correlated. All these things are correlated. Why do people not get this?
But I was just too nervous, right? Like I'm fearing more about the downfall of our republic than trying to turn a profit.
Yeah, but that's the difference is like when once I got all these bets in that I was able to get. Now, to me, this is how I view wrap everything up, is that I can't let the market know this information. They should know this information. I follow all I know is that compared to the rest of the DFS community, from what I can tell now, is that like I've been following presidential elections since I was like 9 years old. Like the board with Tim Russert and Steve Kornacki, all that. Like I was fascinated by that stuff, and most people don't realize that 80% of what I listen to on a daily basis, podcast-wise, are political podcasts. So, like, I follow politics, and it seems like a lot of the DFS community wasn't, and a sports betting community wasn't. So when I'm looking at people freaking out, and I'm like, dude, it's the Hispanic, like those tend to dip towards Republicans. I'm looking at the villages. I'm looking at that county, and if he doesn't get at least the old vote, like, that's going to go to Arizona, too. Like, it's the same demographic in Arizona, and it's going to be... And if Maricopa County, the suburbs of Phoenix, are coming in low for Trump, like, he's dead in, like, suburbs of Atlanta. He's dead in suburbs of Philadelphia. Like, and these all are correlated. So, like, these markets are going to, like, Trump minus 400, and I'm sitting there going, what the fuck are people doing? Like, so, but I don't want to let people know this, because if I go on Twitter and go, you people are idiots, like, this is whatever, like, what's the price that I'm going to get for these bets if I have to make side action? I'm going to get a lower price. No, I have to go to the confident people that think Trump's going to win and go, I'll bet you $1,000. Give me plus 300 on Biden for $1,000. And they think right now, because I haven't given any information, that they're just getting $1,000 from me. Like, to them, it's so obvious that Trump is going to win. So, like, until I could exhaust the supply of available side action that I could get, like, it's going to get to an efficient point where I'm trying to get Biden at plus 200 and someone's saying no. And then I'm like, how about plus 150? And they're like, no, I'm done. I don't want any more action. I'm like, well, I don't have any more supply left. So now I'm going to go on Twitter and go, if I know you, or you get it vouched or whatever, I want Biden plus 150. Like, then that's the moment where I go, now I'm open for business. But I tried to get, like, it's like IPOing in the stock market. Like, all these private investors get so much better prices because they're insiders. And then when it goes to the public market, like, that's not the best price that you could get. So I view the like, my cynical viewpoint the evangelizing, to me comes from a perspective of like in a rational market. If I thought rationally for myself, of like if I was the most selfish person in the world, why would I would only tell people about this if I've already like gotten as much value as I can. It's very similar to sports betting of like a lot of times sports betting picks, like what's their worth? If you were that good of a sports bettor and you're telling me to bet on Texans +4, it's like that means you probably bet them Texans +5 because by the time you get to tell me, you already sucked all the value out of the market.
So again, I think you're talking about two different things because you're talking about something where people can very specifically move the market. And maybe it is true that these specific non-fungible tokens have been, the floor of the price of them has been raised from, everyone in DFS talking about it, from everyone tweeting their links, showing the cards they've bought and everything. But again, you're talking about, Sharp Sports Betting Syndicate, why they can make more money from betting the line than they could from selling the pick, right? Because then it moves and they get the CLV and everything. So I think that's different. That would be the equivalent of in this market. Let's just make Eric our example, right? Our guy Eric Beimfor, like he's like freaking love Boban. Right, Boban Marjanovic, that's my guy. I'm going all in. I'm going to buy, there's 250 of this limited edition dunk of his. I'm going to buy 20 of them, hold them. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to sell it. And I'm going to talk about it on my podcast. I'm going to tweet out that I did this. And that moves a very small, illiquid market. Or in your example, you're talking about like literally people you follow on Twitter, people people you interact with. You don't want to let them know, right? This is another key part of the Kelly criterion is if you have inside information, you should act on that inside information, which you did, right? So a reason you're wanting to go all in, or maybe not even inside information, but just not information that is being publicly disseminated. But everything about these Top Shot cards, you can just click on it and you can see who owns it, how much they bought it for, how much they're being listed for, how many of them there are, yada, yada, so on and so forth. So I think that at least to me, we were talking about two things that are similar, but they are not the same.
Right. Because for me with the political markets, like this information was not like the information was out there, just that. So in this community that we're in, they're not the ones following it. I'm looking at everyone's freaking out, and I'm looking at my news, politics, TweetDeck stream, and I'm following all the pollsters, and they're saying the same. I listen to their podcast, so I'm a week before, they're like, this is what's going to happen. It's going to come in, it's going to look like Trump is way ahead, and then most of these states aren't going to count their mail-in votes, and in the COVID times, in normal times, the mail-in vote is less than 5%, so then it doesn't matter as much. But now 77% is coming in through the mail, and it's going to be mostly Democratic. So don't freak out. Every podcast I'm listening to is don't freak out. Biden's going to be way ahead in the mail-in, but the information's still out there. It just so happens that in our community or the people that I follow, apparently, it's one of those things where just because you're smart in one thing doesn't mean you're smart in everything. And I think that's a fallacy. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I bet against Bales in the push-ups. That it was the same concept of
dumbest fucking bet of my life was betting against Bales in the
but I think
challenge.
I think my logic was sound. My logic was based on I wasn't betting on him completing the push-ups. All I saw, the sentiment of the market was most people were betting on his reputation of making good bets.
But here's the thing. The Bales getting over was favored. You had to lay -150 for him to fail when it was unknowable, when the price was unknowable.
Right. No, I got positive money by betting against him.
Well, I bet even money, and I still think it was.
Oh, I wouldn't have bet even money. No, I wouldn't have done that. I thought he was a favorite, but I wasn't going to do the research into can a human being do this and what's the most like I wasn't going to. All I saw was so many people betting on the fact that Bales doesn't make bad bets, and I'm like, is that a rational view? What's the line of
Bales
that?
Doesn't make bad bets.
No, but that's true. But I have to think in my head from a efficient standpoint. Bales made this bet with what? Peter with Draft Cheat?
Yeah, that's how it started.
Okay, but was it an even money bet?
Honestly, now it feels like it was only 6 months ago, but it feels like it was a decade ago. I truly do not remember.
No, I thought it was an even money bet on this thing. So if I could get plus 120, I'm getting a better line than Bales is getting. And if Bales makes good bets, like how much off do I think Bales is on his bets? That if you tell me it's plus 110, maybe I don't make it. So where's that? So I'm just viewing it. Where's the line where Bales wouldn't make this bet? Like if Bales had to lay minus 250 on himself, would he still do the push-up challenge? And my attitude would be he wouldn't. So all I have to do is find the line where that is. And if I believe the line is minus 115 and I'm getting plus 120, then it's if that's the efficient line, then I think it's plus EV. Obviously, I without even having to like, if we're basing it all around Bales betting, then if you get a better line than Bales, then how could that be wrong?
It's wrong because you're betting against Bales.
Yeah, I know, but I'm betting a better line than Bales.
You got the closing line value, so you're allowed to bitch about it later. But I mean, I'll even if I think Bales is taking the worst of it, I'll never book against him on a prop bet ever again.
Okay, but I get that. But I just at least want to explain.
And you know what? It should have been even more obvious after what he did at the Gambling Olympics that he would never fail a physical prop challenge. Like what he did at the Gambling Olympics is probably even harder than the push-ups.
Right, but at some point there's a probability that he does fail. So I'm going to try to find that line.
Yeah, I mean, you better get really good odds. I
right.
guess.
Well, now I know that plus 120 wasn't good enough. Like that's all I know. Like you know me, I don't care about the outcome. As long as I get if I get the right line, if I get positive EV on the line, I don't give a shit whether or not he does it or not.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I don't know. I mean, the only thought I've given to that was that I was wrong and that Bales never even sweated it. It was just GG.
Yeah, but is that going to be true with these non-fun tokens? Because are people more like are people now, at least in our community, are getting into Top Shots because of the reputation of, well,
100%.
Bales is never wrong.
Bales and Peter never lose. They only invest in shit that goes up. You know. So
it's the Warren Buffett type of thing. Like if Buffett invests in it,
Bales is like the Buffett of DFS and CSU, the same thing. I mean, I look up to those guys. I think both of those guys are so intelligent. And now if you want to take Kelly stuff into it, $40,000 for those guys, it's not really that big of a loss. They can afford to put $40,000 into a Ja Morant NFT and lose it and be like, well, it was worth the speculative investment, but whatever.
Right, but is this is very similar to like steaming, following the steam, but is it more with the fact that Bales is an all-in type of person also? Like he's the type, like he's when he gets into something, he gets into something.
Yeah.
Is it the type of thing where someone like him and Peter Jennings, who if they're going to go all in, at least all in mindset, not as they're all in money, but just all in we're going to figure out this market, that it's more of the fact that they're more likely to be successful financially because they'll figure out all the nuances, while the plebs that are like ripping packs and whatever, and or even you, maybe you made a bad purchase. Maybe they're going to do it better than you. Coming back to the same thing with DFS of, I don't mind giving away my edge because you're probably not going to be able to do it as well as me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, whatever signal led them to buy that specific Ja Morant card, like maybe they just knew this card is going to go for more than we paid for it over the long run or whatever. And maybe my and Leone and our thing with this Top Shot card, like maybe this hero card, maybe we lose money on it because there's something we're not seeing. There's always something that you don't know, right?
But are you
unknown?
Are you scared of the fact that it's controlled by a company that could make the market as liquid as they want? I mean, explain to me. Maybe from a technology perspective, I don't understand. But like the moment that you have, can they just make like 50 more of them? Can they make 100 more of them?
I believe so. There are different classification types of these cards, right? Commons, legendaries, rares, and I think ultimate is the fourth type. My understanding is that the commons can be if 10,000 packs get opened or whatever, there can be an infinite number of commons, right? 5,000, 7,500, and 10,000. They go by increments of 2,500 for the commons. But for the rares, I think the limited editions and the legendaries, that's the max. And maybe my understanding is wrong, but that is my understanding, is that there are only, like when it says limited edition, that means there will only be 75, 200, 250, however many is advertising when you look at the card.
But that's very similar to the card market, where you open up packs and there's tons of commons, and your goal with the commons is to make a set. Can you make the entire 1987 Fleer baseball set, which includes, the 4 rare cards, the rookie cards or whatever, and a whole bunch of commons? So now the commons are only valuable because they're in a set together. But is this type of thing, for instance, I mean, I know how new it is. If you relate it to the card market, can you get packs and just never open them and be like, because we see in the card market,
and sell the packs,
right? Yes. Where like I always invested, because this is what I did when I was like 11, 12 years old, is that all my friends would like open packs and whatever. Oh, I got the Mets, I got the Yankees, right? I'm in New York and stuff like that. And a lot of times I would just buy the packs and never open them, because like the speculative value of getting the Billy Ripken fuckface card in the 88 Fleer made the packs more valuable than the actual
more
cards.
Valuable unopened than open.
Right. So
you can do that.
Oh, so you could actually...
I believe they actually just added that functionality to buy packs, not open them, and sell them later.
Okay, so what you're describing essentially is the digital version of the sports card market.
Yeah, but the difference is that you can see the location of every card, right? So you can know how many have been opened, you can know how many exist. So it's a little different. Right. But yeah, it's sports cards on the blockchain, basically. Okay,
which, I mean, from the beginning of the conversation, as someone that owns no Bitcoin and has no intention of purchasing any of these fucking moments, I'm not like a dullard. I get the concept. I agree with the concept. I just don't agree with the investment.
Being a nit is risky in and of itself, because you are very possibly being super exposed to this thing that could balloon over the next couple months and stay totally inactive. And I've been in that spot 100 times with all these low market cap cryptocurrencies that I know about, that I read about. I see people on my crypto Twitter list talking about, and I don't buy, because I'm like, I don't really like altcoins, whatever. And then, hundreds of people make thousands of dollars because they invested a little bit of money. Like, you're in that position where being a nit can be costing you theoretical dollars, because you're in on this thing early. You know about this thing early before hundreds of thousands of other people, and for reasons X, Y, and Z, you're choosing not to invest. But, inaction can be just as risky as action.
No, I agree with that, but it also goes down to what your goals are. So, like, to me, I'm still maximizing my ability to. My goal in my life has always been to never have a real job. Do I need to be a millionaire? No, I don't care about having $1 million. I just want to be able to live until I'm 90 years old and wake up every day doing something that I actually want to do. So, like, to me, yes, from an EV perspective, I probably should be investing in some of this. I probably should own some Bitcoin.
You probably should have bought some of that $7,000 Bitcoin, buddy.
I should have, right? But also, that $7,000 Bitcoin could go back down to $3,000 2 years from now.
Well, it depends on your goals.
Right. Well, it depends. Do I need? But the thing is, do I need it? And maybe some people view that as stupid. I get that, but if I stated that my goal is to make as much money as possible and then I didn't invest in this stuff, then I could understand you laughing at me. But if I said that I'm 41 years old without kids, with a wife and a dog and a house and everything, and like, can I make $75,000 a year for the rest of my life and just do whatever the hell I want? Like, should I be taking $10,000 and putting it into Top Shots? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's something that people miss, right? Is it is a lot about what your goals are, and my goal is basically to have a lot of money.
Just have a lot of money. Your goal is to have a lot of money.
I don't want to have a lot of money. I mean, it's nice to have money now to enjoy things and you know, when the world is safe or whatever, to be able to travel again and do stuff with my friends and buy a house and all that stuff. But I'd like to have a lot of money when I'm like 60. That would be You
could be dead ideal. By then. You may not live to 60.
Buddy, advances in modern medicine, we're all going to live to like 150.
But the singularity isn't here yet. It ain't coming. Not in our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I would, depending on the odds, I would book that.
You would book that the singularity is going to happen within our lifetime?
Depends on how you define our lifetimes. I mean, what about digital immortality, right? The uploading of.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So you believe that's what I'm talking about when it comes to the singularity of like you believe in your lifetime that you will not die, that by your 90s you're going to be able to be uploaded and live forever.
I think that it is probably like if I had to bet it, I wouldn't bet it at even money, but I think it's like maybe more like plus 800 than plus 80,000.
Yeah, I'd book that bet.
So you'd give me plus 8,000.
I'd easily give you 80 to 1. Yes.
You give me 80 to 1?
Yes, against.
The problem is you're going to die way before me. And
right, of course, right. We're both going to die. There's no point in the bet because we'll be dead by the time anyone has to pay it off. But that comes to my...
You know that scientists are already like implanting false memories in animals and doing that stuff with animals.
Is that part of QAnon? Are you in those forums?
No, that's just straight up news.
Okay.
That's just real.
I'm just way too cynical. I'm way too much of a nihilist and way too cynical.
No, but if you're cynical, then you should believe it more because you better believe that Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are putting every working dollar they have into finding the secrets of digital immortality. Because what's the only thing money can't buy? Time, but that buys you time. And
right, and it'll be if they figure it out, they won't tell me. So what does it matter?
No, I don't think you put that genie back in the bottle because then you use it to make more money.
Not necessarily. I just it still comes that maybe it's a character flaw of mine. I just come from a sentiment of mistrust of like my default is I don't trust you until proven otherwise. So that's why I view politics and gamble everything from a scope of what are you trying to gain from me out of this as default until proven otherwise. So this all this type of stuff, it's just like, nope, Bitcoin, basically all that Satoshi, if he exists or whoever the hell it is or whatever the ideology, like it's going to be the Chinese government's going to just kill him, right? Or the Putin's going to do. I mean, like there's too many selfish people in power to let other people have it. Dude. What was that?
Satoshi's already dead.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just mad. All I know that's the name. That's the Bitcoin name.
Well, that's my theory. My theory is that if Satoshi was alive, we would know who it was by now, and so the overwhelming likelihood would suggest that he is dead because if he is alive, it means that he's sitting on like $9.8 billion worth of Bitcoin that's never been sent anywhere, never been cashed in, never been exchanged. So the overwhelming likelihood is that he's dead.
Right, and it's quite likely that some government killed
him. I mean, could be the government, could be he got murdered by his business partner, could be he killed himself, could be he had cancer, could be anything.
Right, but I tend to go with the humans are selfish and someone took him out.
Well, if they took him out, they didn't get his money. So
well, they thought maybe they could get his, or maybe it's a government that wanted to prevent this from getting even further adopted. Like I
mean, they didn't do a good job at it.
No, well, it slowed it down. I have no idea. Just that understand that my perspective in all of these markets is cynical.
What's so funny is what you're saying is literally the thesis statement of Bitcoin, which is that you shouldn't trust anyone ever. And that's the whole reason why Bitcoin exists, but yet you're not a believer.
No, I shouldn't trust anyone ever. Yeah, I'm a believer in the technology, Davis. I am with you 100%.
The only technology in cryptocurrency that works without trust is Bitcoin.
That's correct. And I agree with it. But I believe the US dollar will end up like, I don't believe that
it's unduplicatable because every other type of cryptocurrency has someone in charge, but no one is in charge of Bitcoin.
Right, which means that the currency that we're going to pay our taxes in is going to be something that the government's going to be in charge of.
Let it be US dollars that gets inflated by 900% while Bitcoin stays the same.
Okay, but if I can't pay my taxes in Bitcoin, then what the fuck's the value of it?
Well, you can't pay your taxes in stocks either. You can't pay your taxes in gold. You can't pay your taxes in, you know what I mean? You can't pay your taxes on DraftKings. You got to withdraw it, turn it into bank dollars.
Right, and I can do that and say the only reason I could turn Bitcoin into bank dollars is because other people value it in bank dollars.
Well, they're always. I feel pretty certain that there's always going to be someone to buy Bitcoin off of you.
Okay, well, we'll see 50 years from now. I don't know.
I guess we will. I mean, I hope that we get a huge, giant market crash before that happens. Though I hope that we see $6,000 Bitcoin again in my lifetime.
Well, because then you're going to start buying more of it up.
Yeah, I mean, I buy Bitcoin every week anyway, but my weekly buys will be for a larger amount of Satoshis than they are right now.
So you buy even when it's high?
I can't time the market. I buy. Yeah, I have weekly buys that just buy whatever the price is.
Okay. You're taking on the risk. I don't think you're stupid though. Like Davis, am I approaching this in a stupid, in a irrationally stupid way, or more of a very cautious, nitty, my goals are a little bit different type of way?
No, it's being irrational.
I'm being irrational?
You're being stubborn because you can say like X, Y, and Z, it's a good idea. I don't want to have to trust anyone, but then someone offers you a trustless currency and you're saying, well, not this trustless. I need it to be US sponsored trustless transactions. Right.
Okay. But I guess that's a good way of putting it. You're right. I'm being a little bit hypocritical of saying that I want to trust a less trustful economy, that I think the economy is about lack of trust, yet the thing that I don't have is the thing that it requires no trust.
What if the U.S. government, Janet Yellen or whatever, or Biden comes out and they're like, we're buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin to put in the federal.
You think Yellen's going to do that? Are you kidding me? No, that's never happening.
The guy who just got hired to be the head of the SEC has already worked for cryptocurrency companies in the past.
That's the SEC. Who gives a shit? Janet Yellen ain't doing shit.
Well, I'm telling you, this stuff flows upward.
I don't think much stuff is going to be done with the Biden administration to begin with.
Well, I'm not very optimistic either. But
I'm not optimistic on government in general.
I'm certainly more optimistic on some things getting done after January 5th than I was before January 5th. I think we will get some things done to help some people, but obviously not enough.
Do you think Janet Yellen's going to come out and say, okay, everyone gets to pay their taxes in Tyler Hero NBA Top Shots?
Imagine if Biden tweets the NBA Top Shots link. Imagine it.
Imagine that. Right? It's like this is where the currency's going. Right? There's no affiliate stuff with that, right?
I think there is like a referral link that you can send, but I don't believe I don't think anything happens. I don't think you get anything for it.
Okay. I just wanted to make it clear that I'm not talking about this. Like I'm literally disclosing that I'm not buying any of them, and any link to that I talking about, I'm not making any money off of. So like that, I didn't know if there was. That's why I was like, you get $1 off or something?
We'll do full disclosure. I own 9 moments. I've purchased with my own money 3 of them, and then I opened 2 packs. I have the Tyler Hero moment. I have a rare 239 of 250 Boban Marjanovic dunk that I purchased for $49, and I have a rare 145 of 250 Lugens Dort that I purchased for $149.
You purchased something from Dort? Was there a reason that you're all in?
Yeah, Dort. He's like my favorite player. It's a collect for me.
So that was just that was a completely egotistical.
I just like, so this is another thing, is like, I just like Lugens Dort. This is cool to me to own this, to have this. I like this.
Okay, so this is what you're hoping the market will be like. It's very similar to when I was 10 and people are like, they would give me their Roberto Alomar rookie card and I would give him a Jack Clark, New York Yankees card because he was on the Yankees, and they didn't realize that the Alomar card was worth 5 times more, but they just wanted to have all the Yankees in their set.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Right. So so that's what I should be doing. I should be trying to leverage people's favorite. I should go on Twitter and see, people that like certain people and just try to get all. You should get
on Twitter and just be like, what are people buying? What is in demand? And then buy that and then see if it goes up.
Yeah, but why would they tell me if they would buy it then? They wouldn't tell me.
I don't know.
By the time they tell me, it would be the value be gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to do quick flips,
But you still, what do you consider quick? Quick is a day. I mean, you're talking about selling a month from now.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's a quick flip. A month is a quick flip.
A month is a hold. A month is like, let's wait.
What? A month is a hold? No, a month is not a hold. Come on.
Seems about right to me.
No, a hold is like 3 or 5 years is a hold. A year at least is a hold.
I mean, maybe I will hold it for a year.
Are you ever going to sell the Dort one?
Probably not.
I don't think it's going to go up in value though. That's why.
Oh, it did. It already went up. It already went up $150 since I bought it.
What's going on? Maybe I should be dumping money in this if that's happening.
I literally told you that at the start of the show, like, people are interested in this.
Is someone going, you're getting it, is someone going on, like, right now, just like, I'm going to fire up my computer, and, holy shit, fucking Lou Dort, I gotta buy, to me, that seems like, who's doing that?
No, someone is logging on and saying, I want to buy limited edition ones of these because I think more people are going to onboard onto this site, more people are going to have dollars on this site, more people are going to buy packs and then want to buy limited edition ones, so I'm going to buy these limited edition ones and then flip them for more. I think
so this Dort one is a limited edition. It's not just that it's Lou Dort.
Well, also, Lou Dort, a lot of people on this website are DFS players, right? Lou Dort had 42 points the other night, 42 DraftKings points, and was in the 100K lineup. And so I'm sure that probably played into it.
Really? Are people that irrational?
What do I know? But I know that I bought the Lou Dort before that night, and then he had 42, and I checked the price today, and it's up $150.
Okay. Maybe it's the type of thing that, like, when I win a GPP, a big field GPP, I buy a jersey.
Buy the moment that won you the GPP.
That's right. See, I could do that. If I could find who knows what that moment is, because it could be in a rebound in, some other game or whatever. But I could see, instead of having a Wilson Chandler jersey or a Aldridge Robinson jersey,
an NFT moment of the play that won you a GPP.
Right, the Wilson Chandler rebound at the end of the game on the free throw line that put me over the top. I want that, and it's probably it's probably a common, so I don't even have to bother spending that much money on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Davis, you're pumping and dumping your NBA top shots at Davis Mattek.
Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just keep it. I'm not pumping and dumping anything. I'm not. I've told people exactly what I paid. I told people how much I have it listed for. Like, I'm being 100% transparent.
Right. Okay. But I'm just me. I'm not trustful of anyone. It's like, all looks like pump and dump to me. But if you have any questions on and if non-fun, I'm calling them non-fun tokens. Do people in that world called, because fungible, it just seems like no one knows what that means.
I think they just say NFT.
Oh, they just say NFT?
Yeah.
I just like the fun tokens.
Peter and I are hopefully doing a podcast with a guy tomorrow who has been grinding these for a while, and who is much more knowledgeable than myself or Peter. So hopefully we're able to get that recorded and out.
Okay, so you'll be on with him about the guy that's grinding out the fun tokens, right?
Yeah.
The fun tokens or the non-fun tokens, whatever you want to call them. So Davis, thanks for filling in for Eric today. I know this wasn't DFS related, but I still think in the grand scheme of why you would play DFS professionally, this is still related.
It's thinking about scarcity, markets, Kelly criterion, all that stuff. Like it's applicable to people who play a lot of DFS.
Right. So follow Davis Mattek on Twitter. Listen to the Takecast. I've been on 2 episodes, so you could listen to that all about.
And if Peter and I don't get an episode recorded tomorrow, this is going to be on the Takecast. So maybe you listen to it on it there.
Okay. So maybe you're actually listening to the Takecast. Maybe why should I be promoting the Takecast? You actually may be listening to it right now.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. So I'm at BlenderHD on Twitter, and you could always find The Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass at theoryofdfs.com.